So if you're noticing some changes today, everything is a mess and I'm just sad. So I took all this time. If you thought I was dead, I wasn't dead. I just haven't posted because I've been having the worst problems with my editing software and the footage I filmed for my March wrap-up. I filmed a whole thing, I edited the whole wrap-up, and I was really ready to have it up like 2 weeks ago, but unfortunately, for some reason, my software just made it so that I couldn't finish exporting it. Like, I would get halfway done and then it would say it was done rendering, and then you go and watch the video to make sure everything's okay, and then it just glitches out, and so there's no other half of the video. So, like, long story short, I have been having a lot of technical difficulties with that, and it's been going on for weeks. It was just really annoying, and unfortunately I have to scrap that wrap-up, and so I'm going to combine my wrap-up for March with my April TBR, because I do have an April TBR, which is shocking because I don't do those. Another weird thing that I'm doing is filming on my phone, which I haven't done in months since I got a camera, but I lost my SIM card, and it could literally be anywhere in my room right now, so we're doing this. So if you're noticing some changes today, everything is a mess and I'm just sad. So let's get into what I read in March. We are going to go rapid fire because I really just don't want this to be a 17-hour long video. So the first book that I read in March was Act Your Age Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. I said that it was 5 stars, so good, really enjoyed it. I think Eve is my favorite Brown sister of the 3. I feel like I could really relate to her as a hot mess character, if you could not tell by today's hot messness. But yeah, I just really enjoyed this book. It was really funny. Still had the same great characters and the same wacky scenarios. The smut was beautiful. I loved it. I had a great time reading this. I think my only issue is that the conflict might have been the most stupid of the 3 books to me. It was just really dumb. And not only was it dumb, but it was like very short as well. But I can't even be mad at that because if I'm gonna have to read something dumb, at least it was short. And so those are my thoughts on Act Your Age Eve Brown. If you haven't read this series, read this series. It'll make you happy, I promise. I read The Space Between Worlds by Micaiah Johnson, and I gave this like a 4.5, but it's really like a 5-star read and you should read it, and it was so good. And I think Micaiah Johnson is so talented, and I'm going to be reading anything else she writes because this book was fantastic. Basically, it's a science fiction novel that explores parallel universes and traveling through them. You've got this really awesome main character who I talked about in my Badass Female Protagonist video, so that was amazing. Talks about climate change, talks about social justice and class, exploiting the poor for capitalism, all these things. I'm not smart enough to really go into all of them, but it was so good. And it really had a strong message that was accompanied by a really strong plot. Then I read Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan, and by the time I had filmed my wrap-up, which was 2 weeks ago, or more than that by now, Emily A. Duncan had not been exposed on Twitter for being a racist bully, so now I can talk about that without raving about this book, which I wasn't gonna rave about it anyway. I gave this book 3 stars. It was not my favorite fantasy that I've read. I found it really hard to get into it. The setting was a little off for me, and the characters, I just could not connect to them at all. So this was not really an amazing read to me, but I did enjoy it enough to give it 3 stars. As far as Emily A. Duncan and all the things that she's done, which apparently is more than I thought. It wasn't just the one situation that's been blowing up on Twitter, but it's been a lot of things about anti-Semitism and stuff like that. I personally won't be supporting her anymore. I luckily got this for the cheap, but then I paid full price for the sequel, which I have also read. I won't be opening my wallet for her because I don't want to support people who bully authors of color because of insecurity and jealousy, so that's not a good look. As for her books, I did enjoy this a bit, and I think the romance was really my favorite part of it. The plot, not as much, because there were some parts that I enjoyed, but then it was just confusing. And she dabbles in confusion, and I don't personally like that. I'm okay with having to do a little bit of work as a reader, but it's already like a Russian fantasy. I don't know. I don't get it, okay? So anyway, I've read the sequel now as well, and I'm still feeling pretty meh about the series overall. So those are my thoughts on this one. I'll talk about Ruthless Gods in my April wrap-up if it becomes a thing, because who knows at this point with if I'll ever upload a video again. And then after that I started to get really into a fantasy mood, and so I picked up From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and I really enjoyed this. I think I went into this one with the same expectations as Kingdom of the Wicked because I really wanted to like that one, and I thought the romance was going to be great and it was all going to be really cool, and then that one just completely disappointed me, but this one did not. I had a lot of fun reading it, and I want to say that my ratings really don't matter because I gave this 5 stars, but I don't think it was original in any way. I don't think it was surprising. I definitely predicted most of the plot twists way in advance, and the writing isn't that strong either, so it's not the best series it's not the best book in the world for sure. It's definitely not the strongest fantasy, but as far as my enjoyment levels, if I am really enjoying the books, if I like the characters, then I can put aside any other issues that I have, and so I really enjoyed this overall. However, I do want to bring up the fact that someone posted on Instagram a really good discussion about the romance in this book and how it can be triggering for some people. So I would say content warnings for like dubious consent and things like that, I guess. Maybe not consent at all. Basically, they were saying that it was very reminiscent of their own sexual assault experiences in some ways. Basically, the person who posted the discussion, and I will be leaving that linked down below in the description because it was really good, and I definitely caught some things in the book while I was reading it and was kind of bothered by them, but I think at some point I just kind of got swept up in it, and it became less and less noticeable to me. I don't know. I'm not saying that you shouldn't read the book or that you should feel bad for liking it, because I like the book personally, but I do think it's important to talk about it responsibly, and someone did bring up a really great point about how this could be damaging to some people who have been through things and kind of might have found those in the book and thought that it was weird that people were praising this romance. The last book that I read in March was Gods of Jade and Shadow by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I wanted to love this book more than I did. If you don't know, this is an SMG Stanle, which means I love Sylvia Moreno Garcia, and it's a combination of stan and channel. I am excited to continue on and read anything that she's ever written because I read Mexican Gothic by her in 2020, and I absolutely love that book. I think reading Mexican Gothic gave me expectations that weren't met in this book, which wasn't really fair because Mexican Gothic came out after Gods of Jade and Shadow, but yeah, I just expected different things from her as far as like her female protagonist and the stakes of the writing and things like that. I thought the setting and the premise of the story was really interesting. It takes place in 1920s Mexico, so it's like an AU Mexico too, and so it's really affected by the Jazz Age and all this cool stuff that's going on. And it follows Cassiopeia, who's in a miserable home situation. She ends up releasing a god, and they go on an adventure, and she leaves home, and it's just really cool as they travel through Mexico, and they're meeting up with gods and mythical creatures and stuff like that. This is a very rambly synopsis, but I'm trying to speed it up because we have another part of this video to do. But anyway, I really like the adventure, but I did not love Cassiopeia. I felt like she was too young for the story, and I don't know how old she was supposed to be, but I think she's supposed to be 20 or 22 or something like that, and she reads like 15, and so it just didn't work for me. I also felt like there's a romance in here that didn't really vibe with me because there was no warmth in it, there was no real connection, and I feel like the stakes were a little low for a lot of it. So yeah, that was really disappointing, and it's still a solid 3.5 stars, so I think you should read it. For me personally, it just wasn't as good as I know that she can do. So these, those are all the books I read. Let's get on to the other part of the video. Oh, I broke you. I'm a murderer. Now we have an April TBR to get through, and I mostly am only filming a TBR video because I have a readathon that I want to participate in, and this is the Thrills and Chills readathon, which is going to be from April 19th to the 28th. I know a bunch of people are hosting it, but the announcement video I saw was from Riveting Reads, and so I will link her video down below so that you can find out more information. But it's basically a readathon for thrillers and horror novels, and all the prompts are related to books that you could fit for those categories. I'm not a big thriller reader. I don't know why I wanted to participate in this, but I kind of want to challenge myself to do that more, and I have the perfect book for this readathon, and so I wanted to participate, and here's my shot at that. So I'll go through the prompts very quickly, but I think I'll only be reading like 3 or 4 books for this if I can. Like I said, I don't read a lot of thrillers. Who knows if I'll even get through one of them, but I do want to try it out. So the prompts are Deserted, a book that takes place in an isolated setting. Backstabber, a book that has a relationship gone wrong. Guilty is a fave in the thriller genre, which I think means like your favorite type of thriller, so the subgenres of thriller. Gaslight, a book with an unreliable narrator. Nailbiter, a 5-star prediction. Get Out, a character running away from their past. Under the Influence, which I think was about like a book that you've seen talked about a lot, or just like an influencer told you to read or something like that. And then Split, a book with multiple POVs. Those are the 8 prompts. I think I'm going to be doing 3 of them. I'm definitely going to be doing 3 of them, but I have no idea how they fit into more prompts, so I could be doubling up if I want to, is what I'm trying to say. There is a bingo card, so I think I'm going to be doing the row in the middle, just straight across, and that way I'll be doing Gaslight and Nailbiter, and then I have a free space. And so for Gaslight, I think I'm going to be reading Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. I should have looked at the synopsis before starting here. Give me a second. Do I really need to look at the synopsis though? It's literally called Sometimes I Lie, and the prompt is an unreliable narrator. So I think that's self-explanatory. I know there's something about a woman in a coma, and she has a husband, and that's all I know. But I will read the top part. It says, "My name is Amber Reynolds. There are 3 things you should know about me. 1, I'm in a coma, so I spoiled that for you. 2, my husband doesn't love me anymore. That's the important thing to know about the husband, okay? And then 3, sometimes I lie." And so I guess it's going to be her trying to remember why she's in a coma or what happened before that. So I want to be thrilled. And I don't know, I've heard mixed things about this one. I don't really pay attention to the thriller discourse out there, but I don't know if this one's a beloved one in the genre or if it's like a not loved one. I don't know. I got it a while ago. It's been on my shelf for a while. It's fairly short. I think I'll get through it easily. So let me know if you liked this one, because I literally know nothing about it. For my nail biter prompt, my 5-star prediction is The Other Black Girl by Zakiya Dalila Harris. I have been so excited about this book, and I was lucky enough to meet someone on Instagram who was kind enough to send me an extra advanced reader's copy that they had because, you know, they just got it like that, which is fine because I reap the benefits of it. This is an arc of The Other Black Girl, and this comes out in June. And it's about this woman, a black woman who works in publishing. I think she's the only black woman in the office, and then another black woman ends up showing up. Something happens at the office that makes the main character fall from grace, and then the new black girl is kind of just like raised up and everyone loves her. And so it becomes this kind of competition between them. I don't know if it's an intentional competition. I don't know if it's not a competition at all, basically. But it ends up with some tension between them. And then someone starts leaving notes on the main character's desk saying, "Leave the company now," and things like that. And so I don't know what to expect from this book, but I do expect to love it. It definitely hits close to home as a black woman working in publishing and in an office that is fairly white, unfortunately, and so I really am excited to read this and see what it has to say about the publishing industry, and just, there's nothing not good about this book, so I really hope that I like it. I definitely think it's going to be 5 stars, and I am so thankful to Reading with Glamour. That is the Instagram account that sent me the book, so go follow them because they're amazing. So yeah, this is another fairly short one, and I hope that I can get through it. And then I have a free space, and for my free space I could obviously do whatever I want to do, and I have a lot of options. Surprisingly, for someone who doesn't read thrillers at all, I have collected numerous thrillers over the years. For my free space, I'm thinking that I can cross it over with Deserted, which is the isolated setting prompt, and then I could do Neverworld Wake, which is a story about this group of teens. It's like the anniversary of their friend's death, and they meet up at this cabin or something, and it ends up basically, I don't know anything else except that they have to choose who's the only person who's going to survive the night, and it sounds like it'll be interesting. I've heard very mixed things about this. Actually, I've heard mostly bad things about this book. I've never heard anyone say that it was fantastic, so I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this. But then I just realized I have 2 Marisha Pestle books in this little thing. So this is her YA, and this is her like famous adult thriller that everyone loves and no one said anything bad about, but it's noticeably bigger than this one. So yeah, I don't know what this is about. It's like a dad or a documentary maker who is also a dad. I think his daughter goes missing or something like that, and he's trying to solve her missing case. I was gonna call it a murder, but she's only missing. Who knows what happened to her? But also, I haven't looked at the synopsis in a long time, so I could be wrong about that. This is definitely something I've wanted to read for a very, very long time, and this would be the greatest opportunity to do that because I don't see myself picking it up maybe until October unless I do it now. But I probably won't get to this one, but it is an option because it's a free space and I can do whatever I want. But I could also do the Backstabber prompt, which is a relationship gone wrong, and maybe do Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. I do want to specify that I know that this is not really a relationship. I don't consider this a healthy relationship or anything at all. But this book does start with a murder, and it is the murder of the man that the main character was kind of in a relationship with, but we'll just call it a business relationship because that's the most appropriate way to phrase it. So I could read this because I've heard nothing but amazing things about it, and it's definitely been on my list for a while. I have another Tiffany D. Jackson book, and honestly, I've never heard anything bad about Tiffany D. Jackson. I'm just sleeping on her for no reason. So there's another YA thriller I could read. Let me know if you have any strong opinions about any of these and which ones I should read, because I would greatly appreciate your input on that. That is the whole video. I hope you don't mind the collaboration here, but I had to get up something. It's been a while. Also, I have over 500 subscribers now, which is insane. I don't know if I'm going to do anything special for it. Not that you guys aren't all special and wonderful, and I thank you for being here, but I don't know what you would want to see for that, so I'll think on it. I really appreciate everyone who has subscribed and who keeps commenting and liking and talking and posting about my videos. I really, really appreciate you. It has been such a fun ride being here, and I'm so happy that I hit 500 subscribers before the anniversary of my YouTube premiere, which was back in April, like at the very end of April. And so yeah, it's my booktube anniversary very soon, and I'm happy that I stuck with it for a whole year and haven't given up yet. And things have really changed, and I'm hoping that you will grow with me. I've definitely got a lot going on in 2021, and so I hope to take you on that journey with me. But I'm gonna stop talking now because this video is going to be so long already, and I am sorry to future editing Jayla. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're new here and you haven't already subscribed, please feel free to do it. The button's right down there. Also, like the video, comment down below telling me your thoughts on anything that I talked about in the video, and you can also be my friend on Goodreads and follow me on Instagram at LalaLovesLit. Links are in the description for that as well. Do I have anything else to say? I don't think so. Okay, bye!